we just have more wild details revealed regarding Brandon Ingram signing with the Toronto Raptors. Of course, this is the big blockbuster trade the Raptors made at this year's NBA trade deadline, and things just continue to look better. It's crazy to keep saying this as more details come out. Things continue to look better for the Raptors. And also, we got Gradey Dick out there in the Rising Stars game, making a name for himself, really performing at the top level for this Toronto Raptors, representing this Toronto Raptors team out there in the Rising Stars game, even though specifically his teammates didn't really play that well. So we have a lot of things to discuss right now on this Toronto Raptors squad. But before we dive into any of that, folks, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure when you guys are watching the vids, it helps the channel out a ton. So hit that like button on this video if you're enjoying all of the daily Toronto Raptors news coverage. But let's dive into the news. We want to start off with Gradey Dick dominating in the Rising Stars game. Now, Gradey Dick, of course, was selected for the Rising Stars game as a sophomore. Deservedly so. The guy's been a beast for a lot of the season, even though there has been some ups and downs. He's proved himself to be an elite three-point shooter, elite all-around scorer, given his age, given his youth, and given the opportunities he's had out here from the Toronto Raptors. He's come out and just been a beast for this Raptors team, so well-deservedly, getting on that All-Star or Rising Stars team during All-Star weekend. But basically, we were watching the game. There was some interesting stuff out there on the court as Gradey Dick's team was pretty good, pretty solid. And this is so you can see this here. Gradey Dick's in the middle in 12 minutes of action. He ended up having 12 points in this one. Went 5 of 7 from the field, went 2 or 3 from the 3-point line, and essentially, his team did lose 34-40. These games are a little bit different now. It's not like your full 48-minute games. There's like competitions and teams facing off against each other. But you could see it, Risa Shea, Hawkes, Alex Sarr, Anthony Black, Pajemski, as well as De Silva, all out there. And, but De Silva had a couple nice shots, but no one really stood out the same way Gradey Dick did in this game. And he got some recognition around the league for his performance and playing against his playing with and against his peers out there in this group. Played against a team that had Zach Edey on it. Just seeing Gradey Dick really prove to the NBA why he's a rising star. Of course, I don't believe he was on that team last season, so it's a nice positive. It's nice to see Gradey Dick actually get out there because he's such a cool player to have out there on this team, given his personality. Of course, the name is what it is, but he's just a nice rising star player that it's great to see him not even just fit in with his young rising star peers, but really playing at another level. Comparative to the other guys that are out here on his team. I'm expecting big things out there for the future of Gradey Dick, even for the end of the season, and it's nice to see him showing out there, represent the Toronto Raptors in that Rising Stars game. But we got some more updates regarding Brandon Ingram that we have to discuss, including a wild one, because lately there's been pressers, there's been Darko Rajaković speaking out, Bobby Webster talking about all this. There's been a lot of news surrounding Brandon Ingram, who of course is the Toronto Raptors' newest acquisition at this year's trade deadline. And there were questions about because he was an impending free agent, because he was a guy that, hey, did he want to stay, or given it's a rebuilding team for the Toronto Raptors? Well, the details that have come out about Brandon Ingram really forcing his way to the Toronto are actually pretty crazy. So if you have been keeping up, of course, the Toronto Raptors ended up extending Brandon Ingram, and he now has a contract with the team that'll pay him throughout the 2025 to 2027-28 season. So 3-year extension on his contract, so he's going to be locked in for a very, very long time, making $120 million over the course of the next 3 seasons. So for a player of his caliber, given how good he has been over the course of his career, 22 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, that is a great deal for a guy that's 27 years old. In the prime of his career, as the cap continues to rise, that is a massive, massive W. And so that all of his quotes also prove that he wanted to stay with the Toronto Raptors. He wanted to be on this team. He got his way to this squad. More crazy stuff has ended up coming out in this entire situation as essentially Jake Fisher has revealed that Brandon Ingram declined a $160 million offer from the New Orleans Pelicans before he accepted the $120 million deal with the Toronto Raptors. So this is wild because getting rid of $40 million in guaranteed money to move to a team that frankly hasn't been that great this season. That's the reality of this. It's not like the Toronto Raptors have been a phenomenal year this year. They're way better than the Pelicans. Sure, they're a few seeds better than the Pelicans, but the Raptors aren't like, I get the roster and stuff, but from the outside looking in, they're the 5th worst team in the NBA. So for him to make that decision, to give up all of that money to come to Toronto, that is a massive, massive ordeal. And the crazier part about it, because again, there's been interpretations of this report saying it's the exact same yearly annual salary going to Brandon Ingram, but just an extra year was tacked onto it from that New Orleans Pelicans offer. That would make sense. 3 years, 120, 4 years, 160, just extra $40 million there. So that's something some people are saying, oh, it's an overreaction, it's disingenuous, it's out of context, it's all of that type of stuff. Well, Shams has come out and said himself that Brandon Ingram reportedly turned down an extension from New Orleans last year that would have paid him $50 million per year annually. Now, if that's not the contract that was still on the table, I'd imagine if they offered him something, they're not going to renege on that type of deal for a 27-year-old that still had a very, very good season this year. If that's the offer that they offered this summer, I wouldn't be shocked, because this is the information. This is the extent of the info that we got out here on this point. If they were going to pay him $50 million per year, that means, it starts off at $50 million per year. That will go up over the course of the lifetime of its contract. That means he turned down some serious, serious bread to join this Toronto Raptors team. Again, maybe the things behind the scenes haven't come out. Maybe there's misalignment in reporting, all of that type of stuff. But regardless, minimum of $40 million of guaranteed money Brandon Ingram turned down to come to the Toronto Raptors, which is not only a masterclass in terms of what Bobby Webster to what Masai Ujiri were able to do with this trade and, of course, subsequent signing, but it's also a testament. Just they brought in a guy that wants to be here. Now, all of his quotes, all of the memes, everything that's come out regarding Brandon Ingram, every interview has indicated that he is very, very excited about joining the Toronto Raptors. He wants to be here. I made multiple videos on it at this point. He believes the Toronto Raptors are going to turn him back into an all-star caliber player, a guy that's making all-star teams. He's already an all-star caliber player, but a guy that year in, year out is making all-star teams. So he's excited to be here. Raptors fans are frankly pumped that he's here, and this is just a huge situation for the Toronto Raptors, who, again, it's shocking to kind of say, looking at the position that this team is in here now at this point, but with the 5th worst odds. Of course, the Philadelphia, there's some cushion now between the Sixers and the Raptors. The Sixers have been pretty bad as of late, so but they still have Joel Embiid, they still have Paul George, they still have Tyrese Maxey, so I think it's going to be tough for them to catch the Toronto Raptors in terms of the bottom. The Nets are on a 3-game win streak, so that's a positive there. The Raptors are knocking on the door of the Charlotte Hornets of the Utah Jazz in terms of moving their way up into the lottery odds. Of course, the Charlotte Hornets are 1-9 in their last 10 games, so the bottom 4 are going to be tough to crack for the Toronto Raptors out here in this tanking race. But if they could stay in the bottom 5 odds, even if they don't get number 1, even if they don't capture the flag, which we know they're going to capture the flag, so I don't even know why I'm saying this, but if they don't get that top lottery odds, you're looking at a team. You're looking at a team here right now with Brandon Ingram coming in alongside Scottie Barnes, alongside Immanuel Quickley, alongside RJ Barrett, alongside Jakob Poeltl. You have a rising star here now in Gradey Dick that I imagine will be coming off the bench at this point for the Raptors here. You have off the bench, I mean, we'll see if we're able to keep Chris Boucher, but even if not, you have Jacoby Walter, you have Jamal Shead, you have Ulrich Shamshay out there developing in your in your system, trying to get out there into the mix. Chris Boucher is a guy I'd like to keep all this team long term. You have Jonathan Mobo developing in your system. That is that's 10-11 deep. That is very, very intriguing, very, very high upside. Just exciting for the future of this Raptors organization. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.